If you Google the term America's toughest sheriff, what comes back is a list of 800,000 links about our featured guest tonight. He has earned that nickname as head of the third largest sheriff's office in the country. He has a long and storied history in law enforcement going back to the 1950s. In 1990, he concluded a remarkable 32-year career with the United States Drug Enforcement Agency as the head of its Arizona office. Many people would consider that sufficient, but Sheriff Joe was just getting started. In 1992, as a young man of 60, he was elected sheriff of Maricopa County, Arizona. Since then, he has gone on to win an unprecedented 6 four-year terms, most recently winning re-election by 80,000 votes. He is no stranger to controversy. He has instituted such measures in his county jails as banning smoking and pornography, restricting television, and perhaps most famously, dyeing the undershorts worn by his inmates pink to cut down on theft. Despite these extreme cruelties, he remains quite popular in his home county and state, and he teases the media regularly with hints of a desire for higher office. It is our privilege to hear from him tonight, so please help me give a warm Conservative Forum welcome to Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
Arizona, but thank you very much. I like this place. I had demonstrators that really liked me. I ruined my reputation, but thank you. Thanks for inviting me. And it's been a rough haul. Actually, I broke my leg and my arm last year, and then I got my leg and I got my hand, so I'm kind of falling apart. But my father came from Italy, but you know, Italians are tough. And I work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Been married 57 years. And have the support of my wife, which is very important, being a high-profile sheriff. I joined the Army. I don't know, I didn't hear the resume. All you were talking about was food or something. The sheriff, at least in Arizona, the sheriffs are the chief law enforcement officer for the county. So I don't just run the jails, we lock people up to put them in jail. So I bring up the office of the sheriff, and I talk about my background because I have to lead to where I'm going with this. I joined the Army the day the Korean War broke out, so, you know, in the service you have a boss. I was a cop in Washington, D.C., had a boss. Cop in Vegas, Las Vegas, had a boss. 30 years with the Federal Drug Enforcement, had a boss. And then when I ran for sheriff, I made a stupid campaign issue. Saying the sheriff should be appointed and not elected. So I must have been drinking too much Italian wine. Because I learned my first 30 days in office with a stupid. I did get elected, by the way, beat the incumbent, but that was a stupid statement philosophy. And I bring up my past history because I was always a bureaucrat. Always had a boss. So I found out how important the elected sheriff is. Because if I had to report to the president or governors, I would have been fired 21 years ago. So it's great to have 4 million bosses that we know of in Maricopa County. So I'd rather report to the people than some bureaucrat. So I made that mistake. My wife says, shut up, that's 22 years ago. Everybody forgot. No, I didn't forget. So if you don't like your sheriff, hire somebody else through the voting process. You should always have one law enforcement official that you determine who you want, not the bureaucrats.
Right.
So I always say that, hey, if you don't like me, go find somebody else. It's okay. But that's the system. I think they were mentioning Sheriff Mack, peace officers. Well, that's good to say peace officers. Deputy sheriffs are peace officers, but I think they were referring to all peace officers, which are all dedicated. But don't forget, the city police have to report to an appointed chief of police who has to report to a city manager, a city council, a mayor. What can they get done? The sheriff reports to none of those positions, only to the people. So I feel very strongly about the people. That's my secret weapon. Forget all the television, everybody after me. It's the people that count. And I go to the people I average one speech a day, been doing it for 21 years. I slowed down, it used to be 2. So I get to the people. And that's the secret. If they like you, like what you're doing, keep voting for you. So I'm going on my 7th term. If I don't run for governor, I have to, 2 weeks, make the decision whether to run for governor, and then I have to leave office. The day I announce, I have to leave. And who cares about governor? I never had the burning desire to be a governor. Come on, the sheriff has a gun and badge. The governor doesn't have. So I'm not worried. In fact, I get more press in one day than a governor gets around the world. So I'm known as the toughest sheriff in America. Actually, it's the world. So, I think I can't be the toughest governor. So I have to make that decision. Every 4 years, I play around with it, get everybody excited. 7 people are running for governor. They all visit my office. They want my endorsement. Last 2 months. What are you guys, crazy? What if I run? I'm going to endorse you. But they're all waiting. It's good to be unpopular. Boy, I get a lot of support when they're unpopular. So that's the politics. You were talking about the jails, as we do more than run jails, but I'm pretty proud of the jails. I've been a cop all over the world, and I saw as a director in Mexico City, South America, Turkey, the Middle East, with the head of the federal drug enforcement, Texas, Arizona. You know, I'm one guy that knows where the Mexican border is. You know, all these politicians, they don't even know where Mexico is. Until they run it for office, and they got to go to get a picture in front of the fence. You know how that works. I'm not criticizing politicians, but I don't think they really know sometimes what the real story is. So you clapping up? You don't have to be a scientist to figure that one out. But when I ran for a sheriff, I made 3 promises. Well, yeah, 3 that I'll stand by. Put up Korean War tents. Make a tent city jail. Build up my volunteer posse. And get tough on crime. So as far as the tents, I didn't have much help. I took office January 1, 1993. Tried to find tents. Nobody would help me. Had to go to New Mexico. Do a midnight requisition. Picked up 70 tents. Brought them back to Phoenix. And, you know, you have to build the tents. You need land. Where do you get land? We had some county land next to the dump, dog pound. And waste disposal plant where the tents went. August 3, 1993, and they're still there. They're still there. So, you know, I've had a little problem in the tents, not that much, but when people complain, I had the ACLU, of course, they're always talking about me, especially these days, and Amnesty International, and others that come through. They don't like the tents, they visit, and I'm glad when they do it in the summer, because it's usually that's probably 138 degrees. And, well, why are you laughing? You know what I tell everybody? Our men and women are fighting for their country. They're living in tents, so why not inmates? And they shut their mouth. Of course, I found a trick, because I get all these people from all over the world to visit, you know, all these TV. Oh, 138 degrees. Well, I bought a thermometer, and the higher you go and get close to the top, I pick up 10 degrees more. So it's really 138. So I want to make sure they don't think I'm lying. Oh yeah, look at the thermometer. Wow, this is awful. I've had 4 presidential candidates visit the tents. 4 running for president. Remember Bob Dole? You probably don't remember him. Remember he ran. He came to the tents. Stood next to me. Sheriff, if I win, I'm going to put tents up across the nation. He started selling Viagra, right? I'm going to see if I don't get reelected, I'm going to sell Viagra. Not that I need it, you know. So, I think I'll do it. So then I had Governor Wilson of California. Do you remember him? He came to the tents. He was running. And then I had Senator Phil Graham of Texas. He came in. And then McCain. They all came in at the same time. And they all lost. Nobody ever wins when they visit me in a tent. You're running for sheriff? Don't ever come to the tents if you're running. You ain't gonna win. Unless you sleep overnight with me, and I've done that twice too. So great program. Over 500,000. Now we have other jails too. Everybody in the tents are convicted. I don't put all the innocent people in there. Trying to get Hillary here about 3 years ago to visit the tent. She's not that stupid. She flies over. Not with Southwest Airlines. She's got a bigger plane. So it's a good program. You mentioned, I did take away the porno. They had porno in there and R-rated movies. So I went from R-rated to G. You know, I play games with the inmates' minds. I'm a psychologist. I figure out how they hate stuff, and then I do it right away. Well, the guy's filming this. I got the feds after me. They're suing me. Everybody, and you're recording that. I get another lawsuit. My lawyers tell me, don't ever say punishment. What? You can't say punishment. Come on, I get lost. You can't punish people when you go to jail? So, yeah, punishment. Take away their privileges like we do. You remember the kids? We used to take away them. Anyway, from R-rated to G-rated, I went out, picked up Lassie, come home, AC. So that was not the movies. That was the cable. Actually, they had cable TV. Got rid of that. But the movies are the ones that I'm talking about. The dogs. The TV is a different issue because the judge said many years ago you have to have television. Never said what to show. So I became my guy. I decide what the TV fare will be. So I use the, the Weather Channel. Pretty nice. Hope they're watching today. I hope that they see 67 degrees in San Jose. And when they get out, they run up here and never come back. So that's one thing I show them. Then I show them C-SPAN. That's great. Watch all these congressmen talking. You ever notice when congressmen talk, you think they're talking to 600 people? They're talking to themselves. There's nobody in the audience when they talk. Think of that. So that's cruel. And then show them the food channel. So now our meals went up. Very angry. They were 30 cents a meal. Now it's up to 50. We used to send our trucks to California to pick up fruits and vegetables free. Isn't that was great. Truck that product back to Phoenix and serve it to the inmates. Don't do that anymore. We used to have all these trucks and vans that said, I shouldn't say this either, the judge is probably listening. But it said, in the old days, it said, call Arpaio and report any illegal immigrant. And I used to have those trucks come to California. So do you really think I'm going to get fruits and vegetables around here? Boy, if anybody takes this and sends it to Phoenix, I'm in deep trouble, I'll tell you. But that's okay. That's in the past. Not really, but that we're still enforcing the state illegal immigration laws. State, I didn't say federal, state. So this is what we do in jail. Try to, treat the inmates fairly, but make them not to like it. We have 8,400 people in jail. We're not up to LA, we're like number 3 in the country. LA is number 1, and the governor, I believe, is releasing people from state prisons. I wrote him a letter 3 months ago. Governor Brown, I'll take the inmates, give them to me. You're 10,000 you want roaming the streets of San Jose, I'll take them. Never got an answer. I would even supply the tents. We got plenty of room. Build more tents. If you need it, they're cheap. But no answer. Which doesn't surprise me. So if anybody knows the governor, tell him the sheriff is waiting for a response. I'm sure he knows who I am. And I'm sure every time he meets the president, they probably talk about me and of course, the birth certificate. Man, anybody sending this to the White House? So that's how I run the jails. Now the pink underwear, everybody laughs. The official reason of the pink underwear is very simple. They were smuggling the white underwear. 3-4 pairs of our underwear under their belt, selling it on the black market. So I had an idea, do it pink. Nobody wears pink underwear. We know it's ours, right? Like that. That's the official reason. The unofficial reason is they hate pink. They hate it in Maricopa County. I don't know about other places. Recently, I'm running out of ideas in the jails. I'm just about met my maximum. But I did take away all their meat last month. So I'm vegetarian. So we used to give them a bologna sandwich. Now it's peanut butter. And that's brunch. We give them combined lunch, breakfast, brunch. Give them a hot meal at night with no more meat. They can't eat Bambi anymore. So it's good for them. It's healthy. Saved a lot of money on that one. But I don't do it for money. If I had $1 billion, still would have the same program. Because once again, you should never live better in the jails as you do in a hotel. So that's the big underwear. When I went public, everybody said, "Can I have a pair?" So my Youth Assistance Foundation decided to market the underwear. Now everybody's wearing pink underwear. Even the FBI director. Yeah. By the way, when I say anything, the reason I survive because I can prove everything I say. I can prove it. So if you think I'm lying, I just have some fun saying it, but I can prove it. That's why I survived. Survived. One reason. So that's the underwear. Now, about 12 years ago, I saw some old chain gang movies. Remember? I go, see, I'm a senior guy. I go way back in history. So I said, I'm going to put people on a chain gang. Man, I have a real chain gang. None of this. A couple of sheriffs said they hook them, but they're not hooked together. They're individually hooked. I got the real chain. They're hooked together. Great program. They all volunteer. I put them in front of the governor's office, anywhere I want. I had them in front of the VA hospital this weekend. They didn't like it. Got a little problem with the VA hospital. Then I'm an equal opportunity guy. Let's put women on the chain gang. Put the women together. 10 years ago. That's the only female chain gang in the history of the world. I'm pretty proud of it. I know that. Usually I have Russia TV, they come to see me, and Chinese, they come from everywhere in the world to see the sheriff. I think I've been on 4,000 that I know of profiles overseas. So I asked them, do you put women on chain gangs? They think I'm nuts. So I figured I'm safe to say I'm the only one. Female chain gang. In fact, I had 39 television crews from around the world to film my launching of the female chain gang. They all wanted to see the women hooked together on a chain gang on these snooty cities, and I put them there. I got a reason for doing that. And they like it. Actually, I have them at the cemetery every Thursday, burying the deceased. Those that have died of drug overdose and nobody cares. At least the chain gang, they go there, dig the grave, and they pray. And they learn a lesson how important life is. So everything we do is really for a bigger picture. So the reason I put the chain gang where everybody can see them. So maybe when the parents are driving by, they'll tell Johnny, you do anything wrong, you're going to be on that chain gang. Maybe that kid will never forget the chain gang. And that's my method to madness. I can't hire Hollywood seconds. I use the inmates as my acting. It's okay. Works all right. Now, I'm a big supporter of veterans. We have about 250 veterans in jail for all different types of crime. A couple of months ago, decided to isolate them and put them in their own little area because I feel they need special attention because coming back from overseas and more education and try to find them a job when they get out of jail. I took a little heat on that. Why do you segregate them? You don't segregate others. But you know what I tell everybody? Very simple. I run the hotel. You can tell me so you know, they painted the walls red, white, and blue, and all the different, Marines, Army, Air Force. It was nice touch. I never had any problems. At the same time, we put flags, American flags, in every cell, right on the wall. Anybody that touches the flag, put them on bread and water. So I have 39 on bread and water for messing with our flag. which is good, saved a little money too. So that was great, right along. Then I started years ago the national anthem. Everybody, I can't force them to sing, but they usually sing in the morning, and God Bless America at night. So everybody, if they're in the jail, they should be singing our songs. I don't care where they're from. If they're in the United States of America, and our county jail, they should abide by rules and regulations. I can't force them, but they're pretty good. Most of them sing those two songs. It's all right. So I kind of run the jails. It's great. I love the jails. I've been a cop for over 50 years. All I did was put people in jail. I don't know what they do with them in jail. But when I took office, hey, I run the jails. About 75% of my budget goes to running the jail. The other 25% lock them up and throw them in jail. So they don't have city jails. Every police department uses our jail. You know, so I get them all nice, different people. I guess, so you guys brag about your celebrity tent in LA County. I remember the sheriff down there, was it Paris Hilton that had a little problem? So I called Baca, and it was a big story. And I called him. He happened to be in Washington. I don't know what he's doing. Probably meeting Obama. So I asked him, I'll take Paris. Don't tell me you have a jail, overcrowding jail. I'll take her. Then I said, sure, if you have any problem, if I publicize that you're willing to give her to me, that's his first mistake. Oh no, that's when he should have said no. So I told the media, I want Paris Hilton. Of course, then I don't know what they did. And I got all this media attention, and then I guess they let her home arrest or something, and I got more media attention because I would have loved to have her in my tents. Because I do have celebrities. Believe it or not, you'll be shocked at people that come to the jails. You think you have them in Hollywood? I got them too. In fact, I think I'm going to open up a celebrity tent because I'm getting more celebrities. Ball players, NBA, National Football League, baseball. I remember I had Mike Tyson in there, and I was getting along all right with him. Then he got busted and put him in the jail. Put him in pink underwear. He didn't like that. And another guy you see on CNN doing the NBA had him in there. And so I get these different guys. It's all right, I treat them good, just like anybody else. So the other program that's a little controversial, I should keep my mouth shut. But this birth certificate situation is hanging over me for 2.5 years. Now, I take the office of sheriff very seriously. I had 200 Tea Party people come to see me. Are you one of them? Didn't know you had Tea Party people. Guys, thanks a lot for causing me all the trouble and headaches I had.
You're welcome.
Huh? Oh, that's okay. Anyway, they didn't all come at one time. They had 200 signatures in Phoenix area, and the leaders came to see me. Sheriff, you're our last hope. Nobody will touch this, investigation. Will you do it? So I had to make a decision. Do I throw it in the wastebasket, or do I say I'm going to do it? So I made a decision. I'm sticking by to do it. And I know about taxes. You guys too don't like, the taxes and all that. So I use my posse. I have a cold case posse. We have almost 3,000 volunteer posse, 500 with the guns. So under the sheriff, I can swear in private citizens and give them the authority when I mobilize them to do law enforcement, not just search and rescue. So I take that very serious. Have 57 different posses, airplanes, jets. They all report to me, but I don't pay for their jets or all that. They pay for everything. So I have a cold case posse. So why not use that to investigate the president? Doesn't cost anything. But I got by that with all these critics. So we're still working it. You know, there's no doubt in my mind. By the way, I never went after the president as to whether he was born here or not. I'm going after a forged government fraudulent document. That's all. And I'm still working it, getting a little closer, because I got an idea who was behind it, but that's another big issue. I want enough proof. When I go public, they don't run me out of town. They tried the first press conferences I had too, but and so we're still there. I haven't given it up. I'm not giving it up. It's unfortunate every time I talk to any elected official, Congress, oh, we don't even want to talk about that, man. We got to get reelected. Don't even bring up birther or birther. That's really sad. If it was you, you'd be in jail tomorrow for forged document. You know that? So it's not fair. So I'm still working that a little, you know, here and there, but it's mostly there, and see what happens. Like I say, I took an oath of office to enforce all the laws. Actually, I took more than one oath. I took 4, and I just went with 800 people with my wife to Arpaio. But I'm an old-fashioned guy. You know, I feel if you shake hands or you make a promise, you ought to keep it. That's the old-fashioned way. You can't do that now. Now you need 1 million lawyers and all that. But I still go by the old tradition sometimes. I'm not different. I'm not. You know, some people say you're an expert and all that. No, I'm just using common sense and life experience. That's my secret. I don't need all these 1 million degrees in psychology, how far Mars is from the moon. What's that got to do with locking people up? So that's my secret. Secret weapon. So the guns, I'm kind of a gun guy. I don't carry a gun. I got this little gun here, James Bond type. Everybody looks at my gun. You know, they don't look at my face. They're always looking, they're fixed on my gun. Wow. It's just a little Glock. $25. Actually, I got a $2,000 one my wife gave me with diamonds. I'm not wearing that. And I don't carry a gun. I get these threats all the time. You don't see any security here. Everybody takes security with them. I go. Come by myself. I got a guy that sent me a bomb. They just took him a year to bust him. He's in jail. I got other people in Canada threatening to kill me. Hey, think I'm worried about it? I have a tank. When I go down the parade, I get in all these parades, you know, thousands of people. I don't have to take polls. I just listen to how many people are booing, giving me the finger. So my wife and I, we ride on top of the tank. We should be in the tank. My wife's a member of the posse. It took me about 10 years to make her a colonel. She used to start my car, but now with all the threats, I had a couple of my deputies start the car. But it's fun. You know, they're going to kill you, they're going to kill you. Come on. You can pull a gun now and shoot me 10 times. You'll be dead. I don't know. Anybody has a gun around here? Anybody carry a gun? You're in California. You can't carry a gun.
How was this, Sheriff?
You can carry a gun here?
How was this, Sheriff?
Well, the sheriff gives you the authority to carry a gun?
No, not no.
But they can?
They can.
Yeah. Well, I got guys that come to me with automatic, you know, I'll register them for the ATF. But in Arizona, you don't really need a permit. It's another new law. So everybody carries guns. So maybe you ought to come to Arizona if you like to shoot. My latest controversy, this is a tough one, man, I'm telling you. And I just kissed the dog 2 days ago. I didn't know the dog has ticks, worms. Man, my lips, I don't know if they're screwed up my lips or what. But I put dogs in jail. Very active in animal cruelty, formed a special unit, 7 people. Several years ago, and we go after those that abuse animals. We lock them up. I don't give them tickets, put them in pink handcuffs, book them into the jail. I don't care who they are. If they abuse dogs, cats, horses, they go directly to jail. So I'm probably the only one doing that. So I needed a place. I launched the attack. I needed a place to put the dogs. So we had an older jail. Air conditioned, the only air conditioned jail. Kicked out all the inmates, threw them in the tents. I have 200 cells. So the dogs, every dog has its own cell. I don't double bug dogs, I double bug inmates. And I'm an equal opportunity incarcerator. So I have a cat section too. I have another section of the jail just for cats. And we have the inmates take care of them, day and night, 24-hour room service. And the inmates painted a big heart, says Sheriff Joe's Cat House, right over there. The horses I can't fit in the cell, so we put the horses in the tents. Great program. Doing it for years. I do not euthanize any animal. I've had a dog in there for 8.5 years. The guy that abused that dog, Queenie, got 2 days. She had to do 8.5 years before I could get her adopted. Now we had this big problem. Mickey, I don't know if that's been all over the world. Unfortunately, Mickey, the pit bull, bit a 4-year-old and tore her face apart. But that became a big national issue. And also the money went to the dog. Everybody said, don't euthanize the dog. That wasn't up to me. That was in the city of Phoenix. But the judge, the municipal judge, finally made a decision after I went before the judge and said, I'll take the dog. Give the dog to me, because she wanted that dog for life. You can't adopt a dog, you gotta take some teeth out, you gotta do all this stuff. I said, I got a jail. Dogs aren't gonna escape. So I got the dog. First time in history, the judge has sent us a dog to jail. No probation, no parole, no execution, life sentence. So I got Mickey, and what I'm going to do when I get back is put video cameras in the cell so the whole world can watch Mickey 24 hours a day. Now, I'm sorry about the kid. Actually, nobody investigated that, so I got my guys. What happened? Was there negligence? I think the kid, the kid was taking a bone away from the dog. I don't know, that's sad what happened. But I'm very active in protecting the animal. But Mahatma Gandhi said you judge the morality of a country by the way they treat their animals. I take that very serious. I'm the sheriff. I set the policies. I do what I feel the people want. And that's it. Now, if I run for governor in 2 weeks, I'm not going to go kissing babies. Actually, I kiss Mickey. It's on TV, you know. I found out the dog has ticks and worms and everything else. And wonder. But anything to get on TV, you know how that works. But if I was running for governor, hey, no way am I going to put a baby on my shoulder. I'm going to put a Cocker Spaniel on my shoulder. That's one thing the politicians haven't learned. They should really fight to take care of the animal. I've led some referendums, even on pigs being too close together. We won that one, and a couple others. So they should come out front and say, let's take care of our animal. But they'd say, you know what they say, dogs can't vote. What about the owners? They can vote. We need more people to protect our animals too. How am I doing? I can be here till midnight. Oh, well, they don't have to go home to sleep, do they? I always joke when I talk to Sun City, that's that senior community, you know, which I qualify for. You know, I'm going to tell you my age. I'm not ashamed to tell you my age. You know, I tell people I was born Flag Day, June 14, 1932. So take your calculator or whatever you've got, figure it out. No shame of it. So everybody says, I don't know. My mother and father came from Italy, opened up Italian grocery stores, and I used to drink the olive oil. Maybe that keeps you young, I don't know. So, anybody want to hit me with, how you doing this? You got that little card? But I can keep talking. Hey, what else you want to know? You want to keep talking? Huh? Oh, he gave me 3.5 more minutes. Okay, the big question is that I ask myself, you're going to ask me, you don't have the guts to ask me this. Maybe you do. What? Oh, I got 2.5 more minutes. 5 more minutes? Okay. You know, a lot of people ask me, what do you keep doing this? Obama, 100 days in office, launched the attack on this sheriff, Department of Justice. 100 days in office, they're still after me. They're still trying to hang me just because I'm doing my job. This is 7 years. Took away my authority and everything else. I got courts after me. Courts. In fact, I might be called to federal court tomorrow, but I'm here. I'm going to be hiding with you guys. So, ACLU, everybody's after me. When I ran for sheriff, they imported people from California, buses, 2012, to get me defeated. It didn't work. Then they tried to recall me right after that. Didn't work. So I survived. So everybody says, come on, why do you keep doing this? All the heat you take, why do you do it? And I ask myself that question. I really don't, but I can't answer. When you ask me, it's hard for me to answer. So it's not because, you know, I've been a cop, I love to put the red light and siren on, you know, play cop. No, I don't do it for that. And I have dedicated people that work for me, almost 4,000. You're only as good as the people that work for you, too. And so why? So I guess I have to say if the people want me, I will continue on. But they're missing one thing. Those demonstrators out there, I would have told them, but they're too nice. I wish you guys would get real demonstrators. This is an insult to me. I go, I get 200-300. I go out here, and I only had 2 TV stations. I know only a public relation guy has here. And they were both Hispanic. Can we get an American station out here? I'm here. I'm very angry. I'm disappointed. So, the other thing, probably the only thing that keeps me going is I don't surrender. The more they go after me, the more I fight back. And that's the way I am. All life. I got 1 minute to go before I answer your question. If they were smart, all the people from the White House down, they should say, Sheriff, thank you for your service. We love what you've done for our country. Thank you. I'm talking about my enemies saying that. And then they should say, you know, it's time for you to retire. See your 4 adopted grandkids. I can go on my personal life. And then we'll buy you a cruise line ticket. That's what they should say. And I might not continue on. But they're never going to say that. So I'm going to keep running and running and running. And I tell you, I go back to Raymond Burr. I go back to Ironside, and he was in a wheelchair. If I have to get in a wheelchair, as time goes on, I'll do it. And I got a 50 caliber machine gun that I got 10 years ago from Belgium. I got a machine. I haven't used it yet, but it's ready for action. In fact, the bullets when I got it were $1. Now it's $4. But my deputies are pretty good shooters. It only takes 1 bullet. So that's the way it is. That's my answer to everybody that tells you, why don't you retire? Hey, come on. Okay, boss, it's 1 minute after. Where's the questions here? I don't want any softballs. No softballs.
The ushers are passing out the cards for you to write your questions. And
An Italian, give it short.
We've got a few already. So, can you hear me up there?
Barely.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, because you've done such a great job making the jails unpleasant places with your tents, your pink shorts, your G-rated movies and so forth, have you found that it's had an effect on the recidivism rate?
We haven't, have you heard that? People coming back with all the tough programs. I haven't done a survey other than last month we did a survey on a drug rehabilitation program. We have a great one, 6 months, and we reduced recidivism about 30% of those that are going through that program.
Can you share your views with us on immigration?
I only got, he gives me 20 seconds. Okay, just briefly, I'll try to do it briefly. And it's a tough one because it's so complex, the immigration problem. I'm against amnesty. I tell everybody that because of a fairness issue. If you're waiting for years and years overseas to come over, you wait to come over legally. And if you hop the border or come in, you get on a jail card or become a U.S. citizen. That's not fair. Not fair. But the consolidated, if it's a violation of the law, I'll give you the old theme, the law should be enforced. If you don't like it, go get Congress to change the laws. What? What's that?
Expand
Expand?
on that. Say more.
All right. Will you comment on the President and Secretary of State reporting Arizona to the United Nations as having violated human rights?
I don't know where that came from, but it doesn't surprise me. Why pick on Arizona? Why did they pick on California? A lot of rights violated, especially a law-abiding citizen, so we'll talk about that.
Sorry, I've got a lot of questions coming at me at once, so I got to figure out.
Give them all to me.
Well, I got to figure out which ones I can read.
Are we in the United States? Why, did I say something? What did I say wrong?
If you were to run for governor, what do you think your chances would be on winning?
What's that?
If you were to run for governor of Arizona, what do you think your chances would be?
100%.
understand that you went outside to chat with the protesters that we had visiting us. Would you share with us what you discussed?
Well, as I just mentioned, I'm very disappointed. They were very nice to me. I don't like the way they acted. Everywhere I go, they have big bad signs, and I don't know where I'm at here. It's strange. We got nice people in California. We got a bad reputation, but it's nice. So I'm disappointed.
So this one, I guess, was written by a police officer, perhaps. My captain asked me to ask you, how can our county serve veggie-only meals? We spend $6.75 a day, and you spend $1.11?
No, it's $1.40. $6 for food? That must be one meal, right? All day? Not bad. $6. Ours is like $1.40. That's all right.
But you charge them.
Huh?
You charge them $1.25, right?
No, I'm going to start charging them next month for the food. I'm not gonna rip them off. I'm gonna do it $1 instead of $1.40. You know, easier on a computer. So they're gonna have to pay $1 for their food. No meat. No meat. No Bambi.
Do you have a lot of illegal immigrants in your jails? And if so, are they handled any differently?
Illegal immigrants? Can I expand? Because this is kind of give me 2 minutes to answer that. Let me tell you, we just did I wrote to the Homeland Security guy, the new one. Of course, he hasn't answered my letter. But we did a survey last month of 2,000 illegal aliens in our jail for other crimes. And we went back in history with those 2,000, 31% have come back to the jail multiple times, 10 times, 20 times. So when we turn these people over to ICE, what do they do with them? 2 things they can do: send them to the border, then they keep coming back, committing crimes, coming back to our jail, or let them out the back door, and they keep committing crime. They got a policy in Washington that anybody who commits a serious crime is going to be deported. Well, how come all these guys committing serious crimes keep coming back to jail? You figure that one out. But I got them where I want them. I wrote it up. I put it out to the media. Of course, nobody will cover it. I want an answer. I want them, and I'm going to do it every month now. I'm ready for another one. Every month I go in public to see how many people keep coming back to jail when they should have been deported. Now, if they have been deported, must be a very easy border if they come back 10, 15, 20 times. What? Sure. I had to do this because I had to explain that one. That was okay. Boy, what is it? All right, I can only give you the 20 seconds to go.
All right. Besides the comment about appointed rather than elected sheriff, do you have any other policies that you've advocated over the years that you now regret?
I'll make this quick. No. That was quick.
You mentioned early on that you're not supposed to use the term punishment. Can you elaborate on that? Why is that?
Well, because the legal people don't like to say you punish people in jail. So I don't care what they say. I just continue to say you should be punished.
Any comments on Fast and Furious in particular? Who do you think should be held responsible?
Very complicated. I'm not going to get into it. But we'll see what happens, if anything ever happens on that one, which I doubt it will happen. Sad because I had the mother and the sister of the slain Border Patrol visit me a couple of weeks ago in my office. So it's a sad situation what happened to the Border Patrol with our guns.
Do you think prisoners should work to pay the cost of their incarceration?
Absolutely.
Yes, but when they work, I don't pay them like the prisons do. The prisons pay you for working. I don't pay them for work. They should be paying us. They're going to start paying for food and medical anyway.
At the first press conference of the cold case posse, it was announced that you hoped the feds would take it up. Has anyone contacted you since then from the FBI or House of Representatives or anywhere else?
I never said the feds. I think I said Congress. Maybe you call that the Fed. Why would I give it to the feds? What, are you kidding? I mean, who's going to investigate it? The Attorney General? Who asked that question?
I'm just reading them. How many inmates die per year in your hot tents?
What is it? What is it?
How many inmates die per year?
Died in the tents?
Yeah.
I don't think there's been any. Maybe one died outside the tents. 500,000, nobody died in the tents. It's a pretty good record. Had one riot, 1996. That was exciting. But that worked out all right.
Here's a request. Would you please investigate the IRS in Benghazi for us?
I'm just a sheriff in Maricopa County. I'm investigating the president. Now you want IRS? I don't want to be audited. I'm being investigated. Probably am audited.
Somebody has to do it.
What?
Somebody has to do it.
Why me?
Somebody's doing it.
We'll pick out some other sheriff.
How does the nature of your job change as federal and state administrations revolve in and out and succeed one another?
Not much. I'm still the sheriff, still obey the Constitution, still do what I feel is right, and I'll tell you the bottom line. I'm still standing, right? So I must be doing something right.
You've been at odds with various judges over the years. What sorts of restrictions have they put on you, and have you found ways around those restrictions?
Well, I'm not going to go into the current situation where the judge thinks he's the sheriff, but I will be appealing his decision all the way up to the Supreme Court and see what happens.
If you had the power, how would you fix the borders?
In 2 minutes?
Or less.
I'll just say briefly, when I was head of the DEA in Mexico, we were operational. We were out there with the guns working with the Army and the Fed. I'd send the Border Patrol or the Army into Mexico, work with the Mexican government, with their Army and their police, and clean up the mess. If I had the power to do that, which I don't right now. I'm not going to invade Mexico with my posse right now.
How do you respond to liberals who fret that easier gun laws could potentially lead to more crime?
Well, I don't, well, the way I would say is Second Amendment and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Have you approached the investigation of the Obama documents from the aspect of his Social Security number?
No, only the selected service card. That's a little extra thing.
Have any of your neighboring sheriffs adopted any of your techniques?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm not the sheriff for the world. I'm the sheriff for Maricopa County. Unfortunately, I'm a little discouraged. I don't see any sheriffs standing next to me on the feds going after me or anything else, but that's their problem, not mine. You ever see anybody standing next to this sheriff? No. Which is okay, because I like to stand alone anyway. Nothing against other sheriffs, but they have their constituency. That's their problem, not mine. I do what I feel is right for Maricopa County. Sometimes I'm a little controversial. Sometimes people don't want to get too close to me, but that's good. Except my wife, she still sleeps with me.
When you're done in Maricopa County, would you come over here?
What job would I have over here? I mean, governor? When I leave, I'm going to ride off in the sunset. I'm from Massachusetts. I don't ride a horse, so I'll ride off in a convertible, say goodbye, and then everybody will forget me, which is okay. And then I'll sing my favorite song, which I sing once in a while, My Way, Frank Sinatra. And I'm going to sing that. I have a movie out, a hit piece. I was just in Mann Theater down in Hollywood. And the big movie that they hit me half hour as a hit piece, that's okay. But I sang My Way, try to, and that's what I'm going to sing my way. I sing it. What'd she say?
I said, forget you, not
What's she say?
I think she's saying we won't forget you.
You know what she said? What'd she say?
She said you're unforgettable.
Are you a protester? Can't the protesters infiltrate this crowd?
They can't afford tickets.
I guess you can hire a couple here. Get some free food.
Have you given any thought to a successor when you do ride off in the sunset in your convertible?
First of all, I don't want to be egotistical. You think anybody could be like me? Come on. Quick answers, huh? Like testifying in court. This is fun. It's like being deposed, you know, testifying, bang, bang.
How's your relationship with the Border Patrol?
Great.
Any thoughts on how we get the media to separate immigration enforcement from racial politics?
What's that?
Do you have any thoughts on how we get the media to separate immigration enforcement from racial politics?
Well, that's a tough one. First of all, they ought to read the laws and that says that they are illegal aliens. That's the law. Instead of coming up with undocumented, whatever that means.
Undocumented.
That answer the question. I don't know. I can only have 2 minutes to answer this.
Have you ever had a breakout or an attempted breakout of prisoners in your jails?
Yeah, I've had a few. Not recently. They're too weak to escape these days. My escapes have gone down. Another lawsuit. You know, when you get to comedian. You could get a singer too. Let's not go that way. I'm only joking, guys. ACLU. I'm in California. I can get away with it.
Any messages you'd give to today's kids?
I'll tell you what. See this? This is, what do you call it? A phone? Flip-flopper or whatever it is? Huh? Get one of these and get rid of all those Mickey Mouse iPads and U-pads. These kids, all they do is look at the whole world or whatever, the porno and everything else. Get rid of this high-tech stuff with the kids. Go back to the old days.
Absolutely.
All right, I think we've gone through the good ones here.
Give me the bad ones.
You really want a bad one?
Yeah, don't give me this fluff.
Have you thought of using stocks as a form of encouraging the right behavior?
What's that? What do you say?
Have you thought of using stocks as a form of encouraging right behavior? I'm assuming they mean the kind that you put your hands and head in, not the kind you...
Stocks?
buy in.
Like the cowbird.
Oh, you mean in the jail?
Yeah.
Put the people in stocks? Like a hole? He's thought of that one, but I don't go that far. We gotta treat them good too. They're humans like anybody else, but you don't have to treat them too nice, you know.
That's nice.
When it comes to deporting illegal aliens, do you target illegal criminals more than non-offenders, or do you go after everyone the same?
I'm an equal opportunity law enforcement. We lock everybody up.
How many illegals have you been able to deport?
I don't deport, I just arrest and turn them over to the feds to be deported. But in the first 2 years when I started, we did 50,000 arrests on the streets and in the jails. 1/4 of the whole country when you talk about state and local.
All right, that's about it.
Or someone get a demonstrator in there.
Should we invite our friends from outside to come in?
Probably pick up their vote.